Hello everyone, this is my presentation for the paper Acoustic and Phonological Analysis of Tones in Taifeng Chinese. We will discuss it in three parts. Part 1, Introduction to Wu Dialects and the Taifeng Dialect. Part 2, Tone merging in the Taifeng Dialect. Part 3, Discussions. First, Part 1, Introduction to Wu Dialects and the Taifeng Dialect. But before we talk about Wu Dialects, we're going to introduce you some basic concepts about Middle Chinese tones. Middle Chinese distinguishes four tonal categories, referred to as Ping, which means level, Shang, which means rising, Qu, departing, and Ru, entering, in the philological tradition. We can say from the first row of the table below. In the tone split process, tones with voiced onsets of the tone-bearing syllables end up in the yang register, often lower in pitch, and tones with voiceless onsets in the yin register, often higher in pitch, giving rise to 8 tones in total. We can see from the second row in the table below, and the third row shows acoustic difference between the two registers. In some cases, voiced onsets are further divided into voiced obstruents and sonorants, and voiceless onsets into unaspirated or aspirated consonants, which could be seen from the last row. Wu dialects are notable among Chinese varieties in keeping the so-called muddy onsets. Whispery voiced word initially stops, fricatives, and affricates, thus retaining the three-way contrast of Middle Chinese obstruents as being voiced, voiceless aspirated, or voiceless unaspirated. Preservation of voicing contrast in obstruents coincides with the fact that Wu dialects have more contrastive tones, arranged in the two registers of yin and yang, than other Chinese dialects. Typically, Wu dialects distinguish 8 or 7 tones, with only a few having 6 or even 5 tones, often due to contact with neighboring dialects, with fewer tones. 5 tones are probably the fewest among Wu dialects. In the Chinese dialect classification system, Wu dialects are divided into several subgroups. The Taifeng dialect belongs to the Xuanzhou subgroup. Research on the Xuanzhou Wu dialect is currently scarce, and the record shows this group has 5 or more tones, like in Zhang 2004, Yu et al. 2001. Most previous studies were focused on the Jingxian County, while Taifeng is located in the Nanling County, surrounded by the Jianghuai Mandarin dialect. Here is the location of Taifeng. The black circle 1. The pink area all belong to Xuanzhou Wu dialects, while the white area all belong to Jianghuai Mandarin, which we can say Jianghuai Mandarin encircled Xuanzhou Wu dialects. So, what is the modern look of Taifeng dialect? Let's say the part 2, tone merging in the Taifeng dialect. We're going to talk this part from 4 aspects. First is the tone features of Taifeng dialect. Taifeng dialect had never been recorded before. In our investigation, we found only 4 contrastive tone categories, which is fewest among Wu dialects. 3 long tones and 1 checked tone, characterized as M, R, L, H with a glottal stop, based on our analysis. M stands for the middle tone, R stands for the rising tone, L stands for low tone, H stands for high tone, and with a glottal stop code, which is also a short tone. The correspondence between the tonal system of Taifeng and that of the Middle Chinese is different from other Wu dialects, although the Taifeng tonal system maintains tone splitting by the voiceless or voiced onsets. The yin and yang onsets are mixed up in the tone merger process. Tone 2 and tone 3 are both yang tones, with voiced obstruent and sonorant onsets respectively, but they follow different evolutionary paths. 3 patterns were found for tone 2 with voiced obstruent onsets, merging to R, merging to L, or somewhere in between. This merging pattern was discovered for the first time. Then the second, experimental materials. Here is a syllable list. Due to the tone inventory of Middle Chinese and the specialty of Taifeng dialect, we have 9 original tones, marked as tone 1, tone 2, tone 3, until tone 9. Every tone got 3 characters, and every character should be read for 3 times. According to all the data that we collected, we got these results as follows. Now let's look at the third aspect of part 2, pitch patterns and duration. As we mentioned before, in the part of tone features of Taifeng dialect, 3 patterns were found for tone 2 with voiced obstruent onsets. It exhibits regional and age-graded variations. As a result, we split the speakers into 3 groups as follows. Group 1. Tone 2 merges with tone 3, mapping to the R tone on the surface. Include 5 speakers, 2 male and 3 female. Average age is 46, or live in the village out of the Zhiqiang village. Group 2. Tone 2 exhibits an alternating pattern. Most words in tone 2 were read as a L tone, merging with tone 4, but some were read as a R tone. Include 2 male speaks. Average age is 67.5. Both live in the Zhiqiang village. Group 3. Tone 2 merges with tone 4, both realized as a L tone. 5 speakers, 4 male and 1 female. Average age is 44.2, or live in the Zhiqiang village. This is the pitch patterns of Group 1 on the score scale and the 5-point scale. Here we can see 4 obviously contrastive parts, which shows the 9 original tones mapping into 4 tones of surface. They are tone M, 3-3, consists of tone 1 only, the light blue one, and tone R, 2-4, consists of tone 2, the orange one, tone 3, the green one, tone 6, the green one, and tone 7, the dark blue one. Tone L, 2-1-2, consists of tone 4 only, the yellow one, and tone H with a glottal stop, 5, consists of tone 5, tone 8, and tone 9. Please pay attention to the orange line here. Tone 2, which now is fully overlapped with tone 3, the grey one. This is the pitch patterns of Group 2 on the score and the 5-point scale. We can say there is a little bit different from Group 1, the orange line, tone 2. Here, seems separated from tone 3, of course, also tone 6 and tone 7, and become closer to tone 4, but not completely overlapped with tone 4. That's what we talked. Tone 2 in this group is alternation in between. This is the pitch patterns of group 3 on the score and the 5-point scale. In this group, we can see from the two pictures that 4 obviously congestive parts are shown again. The difference is tone 2 here has been already completely merged into tone 4. Then is the mean duration of these tone contours. One clear pattern has emerged is that merged tones have almost identical duration, like duration of tone 2 in group 1 is almost equal to tone 3, but which in group 3 is more like tone 4. So far we can say, whatever on pitch height or pitch contour or pitch length, the merged tones still merged. Now let's do a short summary. The correspondence between Middle Chinese tonal system and Taifeng. In this table, the same color means the same tone category. Tone 1 is from Yinping of Middle Chinese, independently become tone M. Tone 5, tone 8, and tone 9 are respectively from Yangshang, Yinru, and Yangru of Middle Chinese. Together become tone H with a glottal stop code. Tone 4 is from Yingshang of Middle Chinese and always become tone L. Tone 3, tone 6, and tone 7 are respectively from Yangping with sonorant onsets. Yinxu and Yangqu are always become R-tone together. The special tone 2, which is from Yangping with obstreamed onsets of Middle Chinese, in group 1 belongs to R together with tone 3, tone 6, and tone 7. In group 2 is alternation between R and L. In group 3 belongs to L together with tone 4. Then let's go to the last part to do some short discussions. First is Taifeng tone inventory. Taifeng tone inventory and checked tones. Taifeng dialect has the smallest tone inventory among Wu dialects, 3 long tones and 1 checked tone. 2 other dialects in the region were reported to also have 4 tones, like in June 2007, but they both have lost their checked tone, whose preservation is one of the most salient features of Wu dialects. The Yangshan tone owns a glottal stop code. In Taifeng, the Yangshan tone, tone 5, is merging with 2 historically checked tones, tone 8 and tone 9. Some other studies have identified cases in which the Yangshan tone merged with intern tones. As intern tone lost their glottal ending like Tao 2002. In Taifeng, however, the process is reversed, and the Yangshan tone becomes a checked tone. The underlying mechanism deserves further exploration. Then, the variations of tone 2 and the special case in speaker 15. Tone 2 shows great variations in its acoustic realizations in Taifeng. As discussed earlier, the variations are related to regions from which speakers come from and their age groups. Tone 2 and tone 3, historically both in the Yangping category, split into 2 tones based on whether the syllable onset is voiced obstreamed or sonorant. In Wu dialects, splitting of this sort is rare. One speaker exhibits different patterns from other speakers. which is speaker 15, who is 23 years old, female. She's supposed to belong to group 3, in which tone 2 merges with tone 4. The pitch patterns of speaker 15 show some obvious differences from other speakers. The speaker has no difficulty distinguishing the 4 contrasted tones, but the plotted contours of hers display distinctive tone shapes. Also in her speech, the glottal ending was dropped in some syllables, resulting in longer syllables duration. The average duration of the H tone is longer than other speakers. You can see from these 2 pictures. And the beginning of R is higher, and more croaky voice than others. That's all. Thanks for listening.